All right, so can I interrupt your conversations, please? You guys, even though I am recording this, you guys complain a lot about not knowing how to do stuff, but you spend a lot of time in here not paying attention and not focusing. And so a lot of that responsibility falls back on you because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in here. So I can't help you if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you're sitting in here talking, playing on your phones, doing all that kind of stuff, you're not going to know how to do this stuff. And I'm not going to have a lot of sympathy for you. So it's up to you to do the right thing. Now, with monomials like this, where it's not like here, where you're going to get binomials and trinomials and things like that we have to factor. When you just have a single term, we look for a common denominator with the numbers. And I had a 6, a 3, and a 1. If I have to add them, they all have to be the same. So when you're looking for the numbers, you want the biggest number. So when we build denominators, we're looking for the biggest common factor, or the biggest common multiple. You could think of it like that. So a 1, a 3, and a 6, the biggest one's going to be a 6, because I can change that into a 6, and I could change that into a 6, and they'd all be 6. Now, I have a k and a k squared. The biggest one I'm going to use is k squared. Now, so I found my common denominator. I didn't have to factor anything. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to multiply everything by the common denominator. So it's going to be 6k squared here, 6k squared here, and 6k squared here. So I'm multiplying by 6k squared on each one. Now, what divides out in the first term? The whole 6k squared divides out. What's left over? 1. So when everything divides out, you're left with 1. Now here the 1 doesn't matter because really anything multiplied by 1 is itself, so it doesn't matter. I have a 3 in the denominator, a 6 in the top. So what's going to be left over? No, a 2. Yeah, because it's 3 times 2. And do the k squareds divide out? Yep. All right, minus, now I have 6 divided by 1, so what's going to be left over? 6. I have k squared divided by k, just a k. Now, what's the restricted value?
K cannot be square root of 6.
No. Take, like, for example, 6k squared. That can't be equal to 0. So k squared cannot be equal to 0. So you divide by 6, you get 0. So k can't be equal to 0. Would 0 mess this one up? And this one? All right, so k can't be equal to 0. So that's my restricted value. If I find out the solution's equal to 0, we're out of luck. Now, subtract the 2 to start with because we're going to solve. So negative 1 is equal to negative 6k. Divide by negative 6. So what's k equal to? The negative 6's divide out. What's negative 6 divided by, what's negative 1 divided by negative 6? 1 over 6. Is that is that the restricted value? No. So there's your solution, is 1/6.
So anything other than 0?
For that one, yes. And for the first 6, you're going to do them all identically to each other. I'll do one more. But since they're all monomials, it's not x plus 2 or anything like that. Every case, the denominator can't be equal, that x value can't be equal to 6. So out of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, tell me which one you want to do. 4? All right, let's take a look at 4. Now, first off, I need a common denominator. All right, yeah, 4 and 2 and 2, so what's the biggest multiple? 4. B squared, and B squared. Well, that's nice and easy. It's B squared. Now, what can't B be equal to?
It's 0.
Yeah, B can't be equal to 0. So we know that for a fact. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and multiply it by 4b squared. Take this, multiply it by 4b squared. Take this, multiply it by 4b squared. So I have 4b squared here, 4b squared here. Can I divide those out? Okay, so we divide those out. What's left over?
1 over 4.
B plus 6. Now I have 4 divided by 2, so that's going to be 2. B squared divided by B squared is 1, and there's a 3 left over. So when I divided these out, 4 divided by 2 is 2, B squared divided by B squared is 1, and there's a 3 left over, so I'm going to multiply that. And that's going to be equal to, well, what's 4 divided by 2? 2. B squared divided by B squared is 1. And that's going to be multiplying by B plus 4. So I'm going to take one more step, simplify this whole thing. B plus 6, what's 2 times 3? 6. Not negative. There's no negative in there. Distribute this side. What's 2 times B? 2b plus 8. So, yep, b plus 12 is equal to 2b plus 8. Now, what would I do to keep the b's positive?
Or change 8 to other side.
Well, if I subtract the b,
We get 1b and subtract 8.
so 12 is equal to b plus 8. Subtract 4. No, that's the answer. Sorry. Get b is equal to 4. Now is 4 equal to 0?
No.
No. So this is a good solution.
Okay, let's see.
I did binomial. Example binomial.
All right. So now let's take a look at number 7.